The grocery store was crowded. Too crowded. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like a swarm of angry insects. Children screamed in the cereal aisle. A shopping cart crashed somewhere behind him. And suddenly, Sergeant First Class Marcus Thompson was not in a supermarket anymore. He was back in Fallujah, the explosion still ringing in his ears, the smell of smoke filling his lungs, the faces of friends who did not make it home flashing before his eyes. His hands began to shake. His chest tightened. He could not breathe. He needed to run. He needed to escape. He needed to get out before the walls collapsed on him. But then he felt it. A firm, steady pressure against his leg. 80 pounds of calm, grounding him to the present. His service dog, Atlas, had positioned himself directly against Marcus's body and was looking up at him with eyes that said one thing clearly. I am here. You are safe. We will get through this together. 30 seconds later, Marcus was breathing normally. The flashback had passed, and nobody in that grocery store had any idea what had just happened. This video has touched millions of hearts around the world. If it touches yours, please take a moment to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. We would love to know where you are watching from, so drop your country in the comments below. Now, let us understand how service dogs transform veterans' lives in public spaces. Post-traumatic stress disorder affects approximately 20% of veterans who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. For many, the symptoms make ordinary public activities nearly impossible. Crowded spaces trigger hypervigilance. Loud noises cause flashbacks. The inability to see all exits creates panic. Standing in lines with strangers behind them feels like a threat assessment nightmare. Before Atlas, Marcus had not entered a grocery store in 3 years. His wife did all the shopping. His children learned not to ask him to attend their school events. He became a prisoner in his own home, trapped by invisible wounds that no one could see. Service dogs change this equation entirely. They are trained to perform specific tasks that directly mitigate the symptoms of PTSD and other service-related disabilities. These are not emotional support animals or therapy pets. These are highly trained medical equipment with fur. The distinction matters because it determines the legal protections veterans receive in public spaces. Atlas was trained in deep pressure therapy, which is what he performed in that grocery store. When he sensed Marcus's stress levels rising through changes in breathing, heart rate, and body chemistry, he pressed his body firmly against Marcus's legs. This physical pressure triggers a neurological response that reduces cortisol and increases oxytocin, essentially interrupting the panic cycle at a biological level. Marcus did not have to ask for this intervention. Atlas was trained to recognize the signs and respond automatically. But deep pressure therapy is only one of many tasks service dogs perform. For veterans in public spaces, they create physical barriers between their handler and strangers who approach too closely. For veterans who cannot tolerate people behind them, the dog positions itself to watch their six, providing constant rearguard awareness that allows the veteran to relax. They remind handlers to take medication at scheduled times. They guide disoriented veterans to exits during overwhelming situations. They wake their handlers from nightmares and interrupt self-harm behaviors. Consider the case of Staff Sergeant Elena Rodriguez, who lost her left leg and part of her hearing in an IED explosion in Afghanistan. Her service dog, Shadow, assists with mobility and balance in public spaces, bracing when she needs stability, retrieving dropped items, and alerting her to sounds she cannot hear approaching from her damaged side. Before Shadow, Elena fell frequently in public and often failed to hear people calling her name, leading to embarrassing and isolated situations. Now she navigates malls, airports, and restaurants with confidence because Shadow serves as her ears and her stability. The training required to produce dogs like Atlas and Shadow is extensive. Reputable organizations spend 18 to 24 months preparing each dog. They are socialized in every environment imaginable, from crowded sporting events to quiet libraries, from noisy construction zones to calm hospital waiting rooms. They learn to remain focused on their handler despite distractions that would overwhelm ordinary pets. A fully trained service dog represents an investment of approximately $25,000 to $50,000, which is why many veteran service dog organizations rely on donations to provide these animals at no cost to qualifying veterans in public spaces. Service dogs are protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Businesses must allow them entry even where pets are prohibited. Handlers can only be asked questions. Is this a service dog required because of a disability? What task has the dog been trained to perform? They cannot be asked about the handler's specific disability. They cannot be required to show documentation. This legal protection ensures that veterans like Marcus can access the same public spaces as everyone else. Yet challenges remain. Some businesses still attempt to deny access. Some members of the public still harass service dog handlers with intrusive questions or deliberately distract working dogs. Many veterans report that explaining their invisible disabilities to skeptical strangers creates additional stress, undermining the very support their service dog provides. Education remains essential. Marcus Thompson served 3 tours in Iraq. He received a Bronze Star for valor and a Purple Heart for wounds received in combat. He gave years of his life to protect strangers who would never know his name. Now, a dog named Atlas gives him the ability to buy groceries, attend his daughter's soccer games, and sit in a restaurant with his wife without the constant terror that something is about to explode. This is what service dogs do for veterans in public spaces. They do not cure PTSD. They do not erase trauma. They do not undo the invisible damage that were leaves behind. But they make public life possible again. They transform isolation into participation. They give back what combat took away. If you see a veteran with a service dog in public, remember this. That dog is working. That veteran has already given more than most of us will ever understand. The best thing you can do is simply respect their space and let the dog do its job. If this video taught you something new, please like, share, and subscribe. These stories deserve to be told. These veterans deserve to be understood. And these dogs deserve to be celebrated for the heroes they truly are. They serve their country. Now a dog serves them. And that service continues every single day.